What's up, guys? Today we're back with another build idea. I actually really enjoy this one. It is using one of I would say the weakest weapons not the weakest, but definitely one of the weakest weapons in the game because of its terrible stamina management, especially with its weapon art. But the Storm King is what I call this build, and it uses the Storm Ruler, the weapon you find in Yorm's boss fight. I think it's the coolest weapon, but clearly not the best. I lost many a times trying to get all these recordings. I eventually, I lost a lot actually. I think I about the same amount as I won, really. I'm gonna exclude, I think most of those videos, if not all of those videos, those losses, just because mostly it was me fooling around trying to hit someone with the R2 weapon art or just honestly not understanding the game as much as I used to, or much as I do at all. Some weapons I have no idea what they do, but I'm learning the meta slowly. But yeah, the invasions, I'm not wearing the Untrue Dark Ring because this build, I absolutely needed every stat possible to make this build even usable, really. It's very stat heavy. It needs to have some faith builds, needs to have the Storm Ruler because it is a Storm King. It does have a Tailbone sword, which you'll see later in the video in one of the fights, but I really didn't use that much because getting kills with the Storm Ruler is, they're never gonna have a sliver of health, unlike other builds. You're always either gonna four shot them or more. Isn't your Claymore or Ultra Great Sword where you can three shot, sometimes even four shot is out of the question with most people. But yeah, the Storm Ruler is one of the weakest. I think it would be called a Great Sword. It's not an Ultra Great Sword, although it does have a very slow um, weapon art. I do find that most of the Great Sword's movesets is pretty easy to hit with. It's not too slow, it's not too fast. You're never gonna catch someone with a dagger with it though, that's just expected. Uh, so I would get more in the items I use and the armor I use at the end of the video. I'm gonna maybe mess around with the editing style, maybe including the weapons and armor as the video goes. At the end of it, all I need to show is stats. But right now, I'm just gonna leave everything to the end until I get pretty integrated with the editing software I have and how good I am at the game, to be honest. Make it a lot easier if I actually got to use everything in the build. I think there's a couple stuff. But yeah, I never used one of my talismans. Actually, I think it's a chime, because I didn't. After a while, I didn't see a point of using the right hand chime instead of the left hand chime. More damage, yes, but also I have to put away my Storm Ruler and its cool effect. Also, the most of the video is going to be lower volume and or probably not even hearable because the biggest downside of this build is the audio from the Storm Ruler is so loud you cannot hear almost anything. Like if you're thinking of a phantom sneaking up behind you, you probably won't hear it that well. And that's the biggest problem I have with it. The R2 is actually bigger than most people think too. The weapon art R2. It's actually goes out a couple, I would say about 10 feet, maybe more in front of you. And most people just try to just stand in front of you and act like it's not there, but it extends longer than your sword. At least it seems that way with some people just who are actually good at PvP, I can tell, or decent, don't dodge it. I don't think many people use this weapon or else they would know how terribly like inaccurate people judge its range. Also, right there, that's the tailbone dagger. That's the only other dagger with like a wind attack, to my knowledge. That's why I used it. And I only used it like twice in this video. I need to get more acquainted with I think it's called a move swap in this game. Yeah, move swapping. I've been practicing a little bit on my next build, which I think y'all are actually gonna like. It's probably my weakest build to date, I want to say, but I've gotten a lot better, so I think it might be I might do a lot better with it than this build when I just got absolutely trash of this weapon. I'll give you a hint. I'm using two broken straight swords. Two of those motherfuckers, and we'll see how that goes. It's not gonna be just them, by the way. I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna just die for the sake of dying. I'm actually gonna have some other weapons with it. But the broken straight swords are gonna be an aesthetic to it. Make it look pretty cool. Maybe even I might even use them. You can't parry work. I'm talking about a different build. That'll be for the next video. The biggest flaw with this Storm Ruler build, Storm King build, is that the spells is, although there's only two of them, they're like the meat and butter of this build. You want to be using those spells to get people in close range to you, and then you most likely want to trade blows with smaller weapons and just space the bigger weapons. It's all this game is good spacing and knowing your opponent and when they're going to attack. Well, that comes in with spacing, because if you know when they attack, you'll be just the right distance to attack them back. Also find this guy's weapon, the Gladiator Shield Sword weapon. Honestly, I do not know how to fight this thing whatsoever. I need to use more weapons in the game to know how to. Usually, how I figure out how to counter weapons is when I'm using them and someone counters me. That's how I usually know how to counter weapons. Sometimes I can learn, like right there, that moveset didn't even know existed. He attacked me 3 times that fast. I thought it'd be some kind of wind up. Luckily, I get some good hits in after that. But how it blocks and attacks at the same time is, like, I guess if you're patient enough, which I'm not a patient player. There's some builds you're supposed to be patient with, and I'm just not that kind of person. And the weapon he has is definitely a patient. Like, you're supposed to look for openings, maybe not attack bigger weapons that much, and mostly look for blocking while attacking with smaller weapons. You'll definitely not take as much chip damage as they are going to be taking. And another thing I really like about the Storm Ruler is, well, it's mostly about the game. It's that it's R2s in this game, how you can hold them to activate them longer and psych people out is like really good, I think. It takes some sort of skill, some sort of guessing, some sort of luck, knowing your opponent and what they're about to do, which is a big improvement from Dark Souls 2 in my opinion, when you just had a preset move set and you really couldn't put much variables into it and you would just have to do two things. It was so easy to read everyone's movements. In this game, it's a little different, especially with the new all the stats in this game are very small, so you can use a lot of weapons even if you're going for a normal build. Like I'm pretty sure I could have used that one boss's halberd, Gunthier's halberd. Gunthier, that's not a person in this game. But his halberd has like one of the best roll catches in the game. Mostly any pike to spear weapon with a charge weapon art has a good roll catch, but that one has the best because it covers a wider area. And I might start including other weapons that don't go with the build in the build, mostly for just the it just make me a better player. Although it won't go with the aesthetic of the build, and I understand that. Some people might not use those, and that's okay. I also want to mess around with. I'm talking about other builds already. I was just about to start talking about another build. Let's focus on this one. Maybe 10 minutes is too long for me. I talk about everything too quickly. I keep it 10 minutes only because, it includes enough fights to show you how the build's gonna go. Uh, I think as a player, one thing that's probably not good with this build is using. I never use shields. I always have a parry weapon with me, and it's not a shield. Like maybe it should be a shield. I don't like shields mostly because I just don't like the aesthetic of how they look, but that's just me. But some builds it looks really good on. Like this build, it probably would have been better to have some kind of shield that causes some sort of cool aesthetic effect instead of just having a cestus, which I use Cestus because it barely looks like it doesn't look like a huge shield. You can barely tell it's on your hand. Also, the Demon's Fist. I actually don't think I never use. Uh, like I said, there's some stuff here I just don't use, and the Demon Fist is definitely one of them, and I don't know why. It's one of the coolest weapons in the game. Fist builds aren't my favorite. They used to suck in this game, to my knowledge, and they really improved. Some of them have Perseverance, which is really good weapon art. This fight right here is probably one of my longest fights. This guy, I honestly liked the fight. It kept me on my toes all the time, and I think that's what I need to start doing more is just focusing on people's movements and how they move and how they attack. That because fast weapons in this game come out a lot faster than they do in Dark Souls 2. So you just need to know when your opponent's gonna make a move and roll out of it. Reaction in this game is a lot harder, and it's a lot faster paced game. There's also another part of the weapon art that I didn't know until like the very end of most of my fights, is that while you're charging up the Storm Ruler, if it's not fully charged and you use the weapon art, it's just a great sword weapon art at that point, which I guess you could bait someone to come in while you charge your attack, which is good. It would be good for trades, but I never used it to its fullest extent. Also, oh, like that guy's using the I just realized he's using that Demon Prince boss sword. See, I really need to start using more weapons in my builds, because I'm making the build. I include so many cool weapons, but I do not use the weapons. I usually use the one or two weapons. I have an Ultra Great Sword. I Dragon Slayer Greatsword I have in the build. And I don't think I used it in this video either. I definitely used it, but it wasn't a good fight. It was just me being ganked by four people, using it once, almost killing the host. He has one sliver of HP. He falls. He has the cat ring on, so he doesn't take damage. And then he heals because I thought he would fall to his death, and it just really fucked me over. I guess he swapped it. Like, who just have the cat ring on? Which I noticed in this game you can swap in suspended animations, unlike Dark Souls 2 when you just couldn't swap anything, which gives a lot of room for really cool meta stuff. Like I'm pretty sure if you get hit, no, I'll have to show you in another video. It's a really cool meta thing. But right now, that was the last fight, and let's get into the build. So this is the Storm King build. It's level 125. It's because I had to maximize every stat. There might be a few misplaced stats, but honestly, not the best optimizing, but it's the goodest I could do. So let's get on to the weapons. You got the Storm Ruler, the weapon you're going to be using most of the time. You got the Tailbone Short Sword. It has the same kind of attack as the Storm Ruler. Lightning Dagger for those crits. Dragon Slayer for the big guys. And cool weapon art. Demon Fist for the same reason, weapon art. Dragon Slayer Great Bow, just because I need a big bow. Canvas Talisman, that's going to be your offhand talisman. Yorkish Chime, I really never used. The Sacred Chime for the regen. The Dragon Head for the if you just need it to tank some stuff, I guess. I gotta have at least one shield in there. The spells are going to be Lightning Storm and Lightning Arrow. You can probably tie in a Tears of Denial in there. For the armor, you have the Golden Crown, the Dragon Slayer armor, the Cleric gloves, along with Kirk Armor of Thorns if you want to use that, Katarina leggings, and the reason my weight. Let's go for the rings first. Ring of Favor +3, you're gonna need that. Prisoner's Chain, always good. Havel's Ring, you're gonna need. The rings are actually, like I said, you're gonna basically always need the rings. Like they're not interchangeable. You'll lose stats to use the spells if you take away the Faith Ring. But the build's pretty solid. It's not the worst build you can make. I enjoyed it a lot, and it's very aesthetic. That's the main thing of builds should be in this game to me. But of course, if you want to try your hardcore builds, you try your hardest, I'll definitely be making a build like that soon. I don't know when. I just have to get all the items eventually and upgrade them and stuff like that. But mostly looking to just have fun, have unique builds, have fun builds, one-shot builds, stuff like that. But yeah, that's just the build, and that'll be the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and look forward to my next build, which is going to be even worse than this build in terms of usefulness.